Today I want to talk a little bit about boundaries and how hard they are to set and keep, but what wonderful things they can bring about for us and for our children. I'm going to read to you a little bit from my book, You Are Not Alone, Hope for Hurting Parents of Troubled Kids. I'm going to read a section that my daughter wrote about boundaries and how she actually felt when we had to set a very hard boundary with her and keep it. When we erect boundaries, our kids may fail. If they do, their pain will hurt us more than they can imagine. They may accuse you don't care, even though it feels like it's killing you. You need to ignore them. They can't understand now. One day, maybe they will. It reminds me of when you took your child to preschool or church nursery the first time. They cried, screamed, and threw a fit. All you, the parent, wanted to do was to rescue them from their discomfort. The teacher told you, he'll be fine, this is normal, they all feel this way, but give it some time. They'll adjust and be okay. You'll see how they thrive. You're doing a good job, Mom. Keep up the good work. Be strong. If we let our children struggle and fail, they'll learn more than if we come to their rescue. I want to read that again. If we let our children struggle and fail, they'll learn more than if we come to their rescue. We need to quit trying to control what we can't control. Trying to only makes things worse. When we stop interfering, it might even motivate them to want to change sooner. Some pain now could spare them years of pain later. Did you hear that? Some pain now could spare them years of pain later. Well, these are some things that lead up to Renee's part. And this comes from the chapter called Letting Go. Renee on boundaries. I didn't ever hate my parents for telling me I had to move out. My motivation was inner pain that I didn't know how to deal with. I was absolutely hurt, but I think most of the hurt was more for my parents, for the pain I was causing them. I think my lack of anger was also an indicator of my lack of self-love. I didn't care enough about myself to want to fight for a home, to prove that I was right or they were wrong. I didn't care what happened to me. I was in too much pain. I was too busy trying to run away and numb my trauma to feel angry at someone who dearly loved me and wasn't to blame. They didn't blindside me. I had been given fair warning and I made my choice. Many people have a hard time understanding why I wasn't angry or resentful. Morally and logically, I understood why these boundaries were set in place. The sick parts of me were grateful to be out of the house, where I was able to feed my addiction without any obstacles, house rules, or sneaking around. I had friends whose parents kicked them out, who felt the complete opposite of me. They fought to stay, begged and pleaded, and had such hatred for their parents. Some of them were blindsided. They came home one day to find their things on the lawn and the locks changed. That might have made me really angry too. I also know that a lot of these kids cleaned up pretty quickly or got help because they weren't willing to live on the streets or go from couch to couch. It was effective. A lot of the anger your child might feel is also a mixture of fear. I know it was the case for a lot of my friends who had to move out. They had no idea how they would survive without the help of their family. Car, money, food, and so on. And the idea of being homeless was terrifying. Where I was different was that I'd become so detached and reckless that I didn't care where I ended up. I don't think I entirely cared if I survived either. Today, nearly everyone I've met in recovery has a deep sense of gratitude and respect for the boundaries their parents set when they were sick. Those boundaries allowed them to hit rock bottom a lot faster and therefore pursue recovery much sooner. The anger they had at the time had been replaced with love. Now they have strong, healthy relationships with their families. It really upsets me when I see parents and lovers of people suffering with addictions who are too afraid to set boundaries and stick to them. Sadly, many end up dying because they never experienced the full consequences of their addiction. It just kept them being cushioned and swept under the rug. Their loved ones never stopped helping them. They thought it was unloving to say no. They thought their children would resent them, that other people would think they were bad parents or that they had failed, so they enabled. Without pain, there's no motivation to change anything. Now I've got to read that line again. Without pain, there's no motivation to change anything. I encourage you, I implore you to set firm, healthy boundaries and don't waver from them. Refuse to enable your child's addiction. Boundaries do not mean you're turning your love off or giving up. Boundaries mean you refuse to believe your child can't change. By saying no, you give them permission to say yes to love themselves, to live as the beautiful, present, empowered person they can be. Be intentional by reminding them you love them, that you'll be there for them the moment they're willing to choose a healthy lifestyle, that you'll help them when they want it. If you're met with anger from your child when you enforce a boundary, don't own it. Remember, you're dealing with a disease, and that disease is what's angry at you. The devil's also angry at you for not helping him destroy your kid. Well, this is not the person your child really is. Remember the story of Jekyll and Hyde? Hold on to the truth that you're not doing this to punish or harm or be vindictive. You're doing the best you can to help, to love, and to fight for them, knowing that ultimately they have to choose to fight for themselves. And hold on to hope, allowing God's peace to comfort you. The truth is that they are His creation, His children, and He's with them every moment. There's no guarantee, but you can say that you did your best. It's far better to know you did all you could than to look back later and say you wish you would have been too afraid to do what would really help them. The hardest things we choose out of love give the deepest, most profound gifts to our souls. So don't be afraid to have and keep your boundaries. By far, the most loving things my parents did was to set clear, strong boundaries with me. They told me if I chose destructive behaviors, to drink or use drugs, they would not be part of it, and I couldn't live with them. They refused to stand by and help me destroy myself. They assured me that they loved me very much and that nothing would ever change that. They also told me when I was ready to get clean, they would do anything to help, and I would have their full support. I could count on them to be there for me. That's nothing to be hateful about. The minute I made a choice for love and life, my parents were there to support me, just as they promised. They kept their word. They were a powerful, beautiful representation of God's love, which is unchanging. In quotes, if you choose to go away, I won't keep you here. But if you choose me, I'm here 100% whenever you're ready. End quotes. I respected my mom and dad for that. I never spoke badly about them for what they did. I strongly believe that my parents' choice to love me enough to let me go was a key part in my process. If I had been allowed to go on living with them, I would have been robbed of fully experiencing the consequences of my actions, and I am sure I wouldn't have asked for help as soon as I did. Well, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Setting and keeping boundaries is not for the faint of heart, is it? Takes a lot of strength and courage. And when we had to have our daughter move out, it was one of the hardest things we ever did. So it was incredible when the day came that she told us that she felt that was the most loving thing we ever did, setting that boundary and keeping it. It was amazing. So, dear parents, I encourage you, hear Renee's words, love your child enough to be willing to say no, to be willing to let them be mad at you, to maybe even hate you and not understand, but to do the hard thing that may be the thing that actually saves them. As Renee said, there's no guarantee, but at least you would know that you did your best to give them the opportunity to learn from the pain, from their consequences. Well, if you're struggling today, please let Hope for Hurting Parents help you. Our website is hopeforhurtingparents.com, and we have many resources for you there. And my book, I hope you'll try. It's You Are Not Alone, Hope for Hurting Parents of Troubled Kids. So when the pain is too deep to be alone, please don't stay alone. Find a healing community and let Hope for Hurting Parents help. Check out on our website the resources tab, and you'll see support groups there, and you can find one in your area, or we can even help you start one or find something else that's near you. God bless you. Until next time, bye-bye.